Friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and just annoying little girl who lives upstairs that just takes too many liberties.
Oh, Alex Tandino. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. If ever we did need murderers in movies. All right, before today's episode, just a quick bit of business. Everyone, you know the deal. Go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. Best way to support the show. Tons of exclusive stuff over there to help you out for supporting the show. We appreciate you. Please help us out. Help us grow the show. It means the world to us. Join our amazing community over there. We would love to have you. The YouTube is Film Alchemist. We're on all the socials you're on. Great, easy ways to help the show. Follow, subscribe, shares, engagement, likes, hearts, comments, algorithm stuff, all that. Great way to help the show. We're there, you're there. The email, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. We're easy to get a hold of. Let us know. Make sure you're leaving 5-star ratings and reviews everywhere you find podcasts. That's another great way that's free and easy to help the show. Make sure you go to Looper. You guys know Looper. They're a big deal. I am not, but I'm on there. You can go check my video work out there talking about movies from the belly button up. Also, make sure you go check out misfitparade.net or .com by the time you hear that, so you can see the movies that we're making, including we've started our first feature film, Mr. Cream Jean's Hidey Hole. We've started it. We're working on it. Follow us on that journey. We actually just signed our first deal. Someone wanted to stream our short film, Sugar Tits, on their platform. So that's cool. So Sugar Tits will be out in the world before you know it. You can go check it out. Business. It's that time. It's that time of year, the best time of year where big ass things are happening in the world, and we're here to talk about our teeny tiny movies. Our curation this month was Thanksgiving with that relative, essentially.
Boy, did we nail that one.
Yeah, it really took a dark, horrifying turn recently, now that we actually think about it.
We never think about these things, and then we're like, oh, wow, we did not
America just got posterized. Just a tiny fucking spray tan dick print right on her forehead. NBD. We're here to talk about movies. We are not a politics show. I do have a question as we start today's movie, which was fucking awesome. And I will say this. I have never seen this movie. It was a wonderful. This will be in my top 10 film discoveries of the year. New movies I've never seen, man. This was a fucking incredible movie. Wait Until Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Wait Until Dark.
Wait Until Dark.
This is a 1967 Terence Young joint. He directed a lot of James Bond movies. Dr. No, Thunderball, all that. Here's the trick. So I knew about this movie because somehow this was on Shudder's 100 scariest movies.
It's like 100 scares or something like that.
Yeah, 100 scares, whatever. My kids love to watch that. They don't always watch the movies, but they will watch that show repeatedly over and over again. And then occasionally, like yesterday, they're just like, I want to watch Paranormal Activity. I was like, all right. And then I was like, get in bed. I got to watch one more movie. And Hunter's like, the movie from 101 Scariest Scenes. And I was like, okay. And he watched it with me. It's not a horror film. It's just a fucking beautifully composed, just kind of high concept film, right? This is the kind of film every indie filmmaker is sitting down trying to figure out how to write this fucking movie. Let's start here, Alex. Who's the relative in this you didn't want to have Thanksgiving with?
Oh, God. I mean, quite the...
Take your points. Because I was going to say, there's a lot of options.
Quite the cornucopia, to be honest with you. I mean, for comedic effect, definitely Gloria.
That little shithead Gloria.
I mean,
yeah, Gloria could have. That's what I said. If Audrey Hepburn had her sight, Gloria would have been catching hands. She would have just been throwing fucking jabs right in her face. Bam, bam. Gloria sucks. She does save the day at the end, so I guess we are grace. You know who I actually thought was the relative that I can't stand? For those of you who haven't seen it, a brief little summary real quick. I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't seen it. Pause it and go watch it. It's not that long. You'll love it. So Wait Until Dark is the story of a woman, Audrey Hepburn, who has become blind. She was not born blind. She's become blind. Somehow through machinations, right? Probably the weakest part of the film is just the coinky dink of how this all occurs.
Yeah.
Her husband is tossed a drug stuffed doll at an airport for literally no reason other than this lady Lisa apparently wants to go into business for herself. Blah blah blah. Alan Arkman and his assortment of toupees and some other street toughs, disgraced cops, they show up at the apartment. They're going to run one of the most elaborate ruses you've ever seen on Audrey Hepburn, a blind lady, to
Yeah.
get this fucking doll back. That's the setup. Back to our point. Here's the guy that you don't want at your Thanksgiving dinner. And this is a movie that includes Gloria and three fucking murderers. Um, how about Audrey Hepburn's fucking husband in this movie?
I knew you were
Who
going to say the
fucking
husband.
sucks.
I knew you
How
were going
about
to
this?
say the
At the end
husband.
of the movie, after this blind lady has had to fucking fight to the death, she's literally had to fight to the death as a blind woman to defeat a trained murderer. A murderer so confident in his skills that his knife is a fucking novelty Buddha statue,
Right.
right? She fights them off to save her husband. At the end, she crawls out from behind the fridge. Huh? Huh? And he just goes, no, still, you have to walk to me. I don't want to let you off of your world's greatest blind lady champion training. And I just went, if I was one of those cops, I would have fucking used police violence right there on the back of his head. You go fucking hug your blind wife, you piece of shit.
I legitimately, I was texting with Andrea last night while I was, because I'm in a hotel room for work. I was watching this movie in my hotel room, and I was texting with Andrea, and I was just like, she's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, we're doing a pod early in the morning before I go to work. She goes, oh, whoa, cool. What are you watching? I'm like, wait until dark. And she was like, I was like, hey, just so you know, if you ever go blind, I won't be as big a piece of shit as this guy is. Like, what a
Yeah.
what a
Hey,
shitty husband.
he acts like Daredevil's trainer from the old
Yeah.
comics. It's like, what are you doing? Hey,
Well,
Stick, help her out. Like, what?
just like at the top, when she calls him, she's like, I did the best in blind school. Oh, that's great, sweetie. That's awesome. She's like, can I come to the studio? No, I have a naked lady coming in soon. It's like, excuse me, she's blind. Who gives a shit?
Well,
You just
also,
tell the naked lady.
there's a small detail that we left out. He meets her after she goes blind when she is trying to walk through an intersection and causes what sounds like a minor traffic jam
Yeah.
where everyone's honking. He sees her and one gets erect and he's like, wow, I'm going to snag this one for myself. Two, I got to train her up. She's a work in progress. He's like one of those white couples on a fucking HGTV show. It's like, there's a derelict property I can fucking flip. And
Yeah, for sure.
it's fucking insane. She gets frustrated with him at the start, and she's just like, "What do I have to be the world's greatest blind lady?" And she's like, "You tell me what you want. I will be whatever you want." And he's like, "You just have to be you." Clearly not. Clearly she's
Not
gotten the
true.
message that she's
You're
not
a
good
big,
enough,
fat
right?
fucking liar. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like Tiger Woods' dad. You're never gonna be enough until you win, and even then, you could still do more. Which specifically leads her to what is probably the biggest problem with the movie that has almost no problems is just give him the fucking doll lady. Like
So
this is the problem with the film is why not? Well, there's two. Why are you letting so many strangers in your house when you're blind?
Yeah.
And two, just give him the doll.
Well, like, I think this is what's
Like,
interesting about
why not
watching.
just give Mike Talbot the doll?
Well, I think what's interesting about watching this movie in 2024 in the world we currently live in, and I was thinking about this last night. Like, this is 19, so this is a play for once, for first and foremost, which I thought you were going to tag almost immediately as like your least
No,
favorite
you
part
can
of it.
you can clearly it has
It's
stage
very
play
clearly a
written all
play.
over it. And I it's a hard exercise to imagine writing a screenplay that
Yeah.
plays like a play,
Mhm.
but for some reason plays transport to film so well often.
I think
Yeah.
this might be the best. This is probably one of the better, like, because I think the biggest problem with translation from play to like stage to screen a lot of the time is what we've talked about when we watch other movies like this, which is when they do this kind of thing, they forget that, like, oh, see, you have to make it a movie now, and I'm not interested in just like a camera being set down and then just people walking in and out of the building. Like, that's not how that works. Like, it's made very artfully, and like, again, Terence Young's a very good director, so it's cool to watch.
Yeah.
Along with these great performances. But I think the harder thing about, like, and again, I really I did because again, like the first time I saw this, I did not know it was a play. So I was just like, oh, that's a cool movie. Like, is it well, like the things that you need to make different are made different enough from the play versus the movie. Because this is like a popular one that people do in community theater
Right.
because you can just do it.
Well, it's
I
great,
liked
but
it
you
though.
know what the weapon was that makes it more cinematic to me is it's the sound design of the movie is great, but
Yeah.
it's those little things like when she hears Alan Arkin's shoes and we get those
Yeah.
nice cut ups, right? Or when we zoom in on her face as the phone rings twice and she realizes
Mm-hmm.
Mike is not Mike. So they have these moments where because that's the difference in film that
Well, it's
you
like
can't use as powerfully in
right,
the stage is the fucking close up,
right.
right? Like
The
get right
advantage
up in
is
there.
right. The advantage of film is that, and again, it's taken advantage of here really well and to great effect. Is you can emphasize something that you generally can't emphasize with just stage performance, like
Yes.
you were saying.
Close
And like,
ups, you can also kind of manipulate time in a
yeah,
much more
that
interesting, not interesting. The theater people are going to get mad at me again. You can have a
that
more forceful impact on pacing in a
well, I
film.
think that shoe thing is a really great like from the stage moment. Like, oh, that's a much better because like that has to come from the actor. And in a movie, you can cut it where like, oh, you're gonna like you see her face and you cut to the shoes. Like editing is such a key thing about translating stage to screen. And this is done very, very well. Like
Well, yeah,
again,
because so
I
many
think
of
that
them don't feel cinematic. To your point, it's like
right.
watching a Paranormal Activity without the scare. It's like just set it up as a CCTV and let's go. And it's like,
Yeah.
nope, that ain't it. That ain't use the weapons. And this one is so good about, just little things. Like she's like, I notice everyone's playing with the blinds, right? And there's an inherent visual interestingness that I'm sure is in the play too.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Talbot pretending to be her friend while he's wearing these leather gloves. The detectives trying to run like a two-man show with him, like they're interrogating and nodding to each other, writing shit down. He's
Yeah.
playing with the blinds. And they don't use the cutaways a lot in those. Those are the moments where it feels still like a play, right? You can see how this was
Right.
probably a brilliant, fun play, but there's something about the moments when it jumps in tight
So okay, this is a
that
weird
that makes it feel cinematic to me.
this is a weird aside that I do have to point out because this was a play first. The reason I watched this movie, like first and foremost, the reason I watched this movie was because of Clerks. So, um, I don't know if you, I mean, you've watched all those documentaries, but the Clerks 10-year anniversary documentary, they have Brian O'Halloran's original audition. He did, I think he did one of Mike's monologues as his audition piece
He did
for
this is the big
this.
bad world, baby, and bad things happen.
I think well, it's the one he's like, I'm going to lock us in.
And Audrey
Like that.
Hepburn's like, I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Yeah. And, but
Talk
again,
about
like,
the most Dante draw in life. It's Audrey Hepburn in this movie.
but it was one of those, I was like, what the fuck's wait until dark? And I was like, oh, so again, Kevin Smith to save the day once again, like all these, like
There
this
you
little
go.
cinematic nugget is one of those things where I was like, oh, well, I mean, if Dante is going to do wait until dark, I got to watch that. I mean, I'm sure it was really good. And I watched it. I was like, okay, it's a little better than what I thought it was going to be. This is much.
They did it. Yeah, Alan Arkin's a little bit above Brian O'Halloran. That's fine.
Look, I speaking of Alan Arkin, though,
Jesus Christ. What a fucking monster performance.
I mean, that first scene with him, he's so good. Like, it's
It's
so creepy.
it's impossible to understate how bizarre I felt watching that because one is just like these two guys bust into this lady's apartment. It's
Yeah.
clearly not her apartment. It's just some random couple's apartment. Then he walks in, he's like, gotcha, and just starts fucking running bars on him. And it's great. Even the chubby cop, right? Jack Weston's character's like, oh, he's a charmer. Like he's even like they know the game. He's got the weird, like fucking Ringo hair. And he's
No,
just cool. Like, even again, his knife is like a fucking Buddhist statue knife
yeah.
that
Oh
he
yeah, when
has
he
a fucking funny name for. But
the first
again,
reveal, like, well, I've got Geraldine,
yeah.
and he pulls it out. I was like, are any of these former cops going to show that they're packing and just shoot this guy? I don't
Well,
understand.
it was one of those too. I was like, hey man, just beat up the weird creep in the corner. which happens in probably one of my favorite fucking ways when it's go time, when it's fighting time. The weapons are a tripod with the pointy little things that dig into the ground. If you ever owned a tripod, it's not a
little
great
peeping
weapon.
Tom action. Little peeping Tom
and
action.
So he's got that, but the best is the fucking Mike Talbot, right? Richard Crenna's character. He's doing the Kirk Douglas from Spartacus. Yeah, he's got a chair and a fucking camera he's using as like a fucking mace. And then Alan Arkin's just like, all right, cool, that's too tough. I can't possibly defeat a fucking photographer bag of fucking weapons. And he just sits back down and they just keep doing the scene. That's not the weirdest fucking thing? Like, we're in a house with like actual giant knives, lead pipes, all kinds of shit. And he just is whipping that camera. When he fucking creeped up, I was fucking falling off my couch laughing. The thought of someone coming at you, it's like life or death with a fucking camera was great. I loved it. It was great. And also, this was after they had just found Lisa's dead body in the closet.
Yeah.
Such a fucking great. This is the thing. The conceit and premise of this movie is so fucking brilliant, right? Because one, it's this. She is the kind of voice and eyes of the world, but can't see. We see everything, right? It's a brilliant place to go ahead and start this. They're moving around, tiptoeing around. That opening, though, is fucking tense, right? You're in an apartment. You don't know where you're at. This creep, Alan Arkin, fucking walks in. You're like, whatever he's doing, it's not okay. Like, we are in danger, right? I think the Carlino's even like, trouble. Like he's Cat Stevens. He gets it immediately. Lisa's dead in the thing because she went into business for herself, right? He's hiring them for money to get the safe cracked. And it's like, why didn't you just grab her husband and break his leg? Like, nothing makes any sense at all, right? But then she walks in and catches them all. And that scene is she's walking through her apartment and they're all kind of frozen, just surveying her. It is this beautiful moment where the conceit and the premise that we've set up that's so fun for this movie ties with oh my God, it's like a small microcosm of the danger to come, which is great. And I think because again, if the acting and writing wasn't so good, this is the dumbest fucking plan in movie history. Like, this is,
I don't know about you.
Ridiculous.
I don't know about you.
Plan
I
of
feel
this
like
movie.
There's like a 10-year spread of smuggling heroin movies where they just keep trying to be creative about how heroin gets into the
They're
country.
creative, but this way, so there are two guys that went to jail for a fucking murder, and Alan Arkin, who's done lots of murders. So they sneak out of the apartment once Audrey Hepburn gets home. They go out to the van and they're like, all right, we're gonna write an off-Broadway show to get this woman to give us the doll rather than using our knives and brass knuckles to fucking beat it out of her husband.
Right. Well, it's like they basically do this. They go out to their van and they're like, all right, so how do we get this heroin doll?
Just fucking rolled up legal pad papers of fucking scrapped ideas to get to this fucking open.
And then finally, like, wait a second. Have you seen a Neil Simon play? Let's just do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool.
All right, so I'm a plumber and I say she's got busted pipes. No, it's not believable enough.
No, that's not.
I'll
that
pretend
sounds like
I'm his old army buddy. Like, how did they know he had old art? How did they know anything about this guy? Why is Alan Arkin sending him to various photo shoots and a hospital? Doesn't this beat his ass and get the information?
This is like another thing about, again, like, this is what's fascinating about movies from the 60s, because we watch them now, we don't realize that, like, it used to be people felt safe like this. Like, people felt safe, like, just kind of talking to strangers a lot of the time. Like, New York's the exception, and I'm not sure why this works in New York on New Yorkers, but regardless, like, people used to feel safe talking to their neighbors, talking to like this is such a strange movie to watch, especially with the week we've had. This is such a strange movie to watch, like, in the context of 2024, because you're like, first off, the first thing you do is like, sorry, I have no photos of you on my Instagram feed, in my house, and my husband's never spoken about you. You're no
part
way
of
I'm
my husband's shadowy ex-military unit. Nope.
Yeah. Sorry,
now an old guy's randomly running in. Now his son, who wears the same shoes as his dad, is running. There's a a cop running around fucking dusting my house.
Sorry, there's a cop dusting my house. There's the family of petite feets running through, and now you in here.
Yeah, it's like the start of the Whisper song when they creep in.
Yeah, like it's just such a strange, like, again, in the context of 2024, it's hard to imagine. Yeah, like, okay, Army Buddy's a great example. Like, when you think about it, in 66, yeah, okay, cool. Like, everybody was in World War II at some point. Like, it's a very common thing that someone was in the war or something like that. So right. You're like, oh yeah, I know
but
you.
Here, this guy like, doesn't want her walking to a coffee shop. Lock the fucking door. The worst thing that's gonna happen is that hideous little fucking monster Gloria won't come in and throw all of her shit on the floor.
Oh my god, dude. I'm
telling you, dude, I would have taken that blind cane and I'll be like, you're about to join me in the land of darkness. I'm gonna thump you in the temples and knock your fucking lights out, and then you'll see how you like it. I'm not for violence against children, just violence against Gloria. When you do grown-up shit, you learn grown-up lessons. That's what my father used to tell me. And Gloria needed to catch hands. Gloria needed to get fucking pummeled and stuffed in the fridge. Yeah, Audrey Hepburn's just like, all right, it's go.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, let's go, you fucking little bitch.
You're not going to close the fridge. You're not going to close the fridge door? I know what cold feels like. I'm going to show you.
That's right. Oh, you think it's hard? Think it's hard out here? Imagine how ugly you'll feel in the dark. Damn. That's why they made sidewalks, because they ain't everyone about the streets, dude.
And then afterwards, when they had that like tender moment, she's like, all right, let's clean everything. She's like, no, I only threw the unbreakables. I'm like, you fucking dick. You knew exactly.
Well, no, when she hugged her and she's like, will you call me a name? And Audrey Hepburn hugged her. I was expecting the Will Smith I Am Legend dog scene. I thought she was just going to hold tight in a fucking rear naked choke and just kill Gloria. And then when Mike Talbot comes back, she's like, here's a doll for you. The last person who trifled with me. Totally different movie. Yeah, wait until dark to take Gloria to the fucking waterfront to dispose of her body. Yeah, I know Gloria had a tough run. She went and started immediately picking on a blind lady. I don't care what's going on in your life. You fucking, not cool. That's it. You get hands. Grown up lessons. Neither here nor there. Getting back to the point, lock
the door.
No one's life is worse because Gloria can't just walk in. If she locks the door, it solves every single problem in this movie.
Well, I have a question for you. You live in the Midwest in a relatively safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
Do you lock your front door?
Yeah, if we're leaving, we usually go out the garage, so the front door just stays locked. But like if we go for a long walk around the neighborhood, we'll leave our doors open and shit. We don't care.
Okay, cool. So you don't ever. Okay, that makes sense. Like that was the same way. Like I feel like it's strange. This is like the one thing that is hard.
When we lived in an apartment in LA, never, ever once. No, if I was walking down to the dumpster, I was fucking locking my door.
Same.
Every second of every day. And that's the weird thing. Nothing ever happened to us there. You're just trained to do it. You're trained to do it in a city.
Well, that's my question. I think this is like the one thing that's hard to wrap my brain around when it comes to this movie is even in New York in the 60s, you locked your fucking doors. Like I don't know any New Yorkers.
The thing is, you have to give every movie one.
So that's the one we got to give.
I think the thing is the movie asks us to give it two. Because again, why is she fighting so hard to not give them the doll? Like they never explain the doll having nothing to do with that family. Makes it pretty tough to stomach that when Mike Talbot's like, hey man, there's a guy outside who's going to do murders. Like murders are happening if you don't give us the doll. And she's like, no, I won't. And Mike Talbot just goes, checkmate, I'm out. And he just walks out the door. He's going to get nothing and then gets fucking murdered. You're like, all right, so the entire thing we're here to do seems kind of stupid now. Like that's, again, I think this movie you have to just sit back and accept it for. It's a puzzle box designed for our enjoyment, right? It is watching a mouse in one of those scientist test labs. We can see the above view. We know how to get to the cheese. We know he'll eventually get to the cheese. And there's no real danger. We understand that, right? it's one of the hardest things to do in movies is create a super compelling narrative when we all already know the outcome 99.9% of the time. But you have
Right.
to leave that just enough to where we feel real fucking danger. And I think one of the incredible things in this, there is no one who will ever watch this movie who doesn't know Audrey Hepburn's going to fucking win the day. There's no way
Right.
they're going to show us a movie where the fucking blind lady gets fucked up by this horrifying
No,
creep,
dude.
Alan Arkin.
This is also like this is still Audrey Hepburn time. Like she's a little older, but we're still in Audrey Hepburn time.
Oh,
Like
she still does. And this is another one of those cinematic things. She has her like tits pressed up against the wall of the fridge or something. And she does that turn on, Mike. Like she does that turn into camera where it just goes almost softer focus just because she turned, not even because of the mechanism. And you're like,
that's
oh.
oh
But yeah, I'm always fascinated, right? And again,
mhm.
it's people always think I'm crazy when I say that. 'Cause they're like, yeah, of course the good guys win almost every movie. And I'm like, but again, I think if you don't do this, like we really try to write and break stuff down, it is hard to develop tension, right? And this movie does a really good job. The set pieces and the tension of this story are great, and they unfurl the crumbs, right? Like the banging on the pipes, the two rings. If you see someone who was in the apartment calling from
Mhm.
that phone booth, there's really fucking good beats in this
Yeah.
that work so well. Um, and again, it's you feel the danger even though you know the destination, right? Like, and it is harder than you think, especially in a thriller.
Yeah.
Thrillers are a
I,
pretty formulaic setup very often, right? Um,
yeah, I mean,
this
I
one is
think
really fucking well doled out.
I agree. I think I think just the movement, the character movement particularly is always the thing that gets me in this movie is just like the timing and the pace, like the pacing
Yeah,
particularly
the
is so
staging, yeah.
fascinating because I think a lot of the time in thrillers, like there's a tendency to like that slow burn doesn't the slow burn, which works, not saying it's a bad thing. That slow burn a lot of the time in terms of pacing is problematic because you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think for me, what's always interesting to me about Wait Until Dark is like the shoe drops pretty quickly and you know sort of where the like again like you were saying there's no way Audrey Hepburn dies at the end of this movie or anything like that, so like the slow burn of like will they or won't they survive is not the thing that like keeps tension going. Like it's weird, but the tension is that like, oh, is she gonna find this fucking doll or what's gonna like what's
Well,
gonna
it's
happen
it's
like
MacGyver. We know he's gonna build the thing. How's he gonna build it? Right? And again, she has hurdles she's overcoming as a character. How is she gonna suss this out? And again, the movie, considering that the main plot is horseshit that has nothing to do with the family, it's not
yeah
connected. They do
right
such a wonderful job. Literally, at about the 2/3 mark, maybe even the halfway mark, Audrey Hepburn just calls out, "Hey, this is really fucking stupid. Like, it's
mm-hmm.
stupid to have three strange men enter my house in the same day looking for a doll. This is dumb." Audrey Hepburn literally turns around and tells us the plot of the fucking movie we are watching is stupid.
It's
And she rises above it in a way that you're like, yes, thank you.
was
Beat
it
it.
well,
We
I
are
think that's
rooting
the
for her crushing defeat.
well I think that's
She
the
becomes the
interesting thing
Harlem
too.
Globetrotters to Alan Arkin's generals.
Right. And I think that's what's interesting about that moment too, is it's a reset to get you into the end of the movie is like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. She knows this is horseshit. So now we can all be on this journey. Like at that point, we're all just passive observers watching these guys try to pull this flim flam.
Yeah.
When she finally locks in and keys into it, you're like, oh, cool. We get to be in the driver's seat with her now about like how this is going to go.
I
It's
do
pretty
think it's I think it's
It's
a
a fascinating reset.
crucial screenwriting decision that
Agreed.
Audrey Hepburn goes, "This is stupid. Now I'm just solving how to get around it, right?" And they're kind of
Yeah.
underestimating her by trying to trick her with the world's fucking dumbest long game. It does become fun, right? And again, it excuses because this movie you have to give it two or three things, right? Like she's running around breaking all the lights. Okay, well, I don't know
Right.
when she moved into this house, right? I'm assuming after she was blind. If I
Mhm.
blindfolded you, Alex, and I said, you got to knock out every single light in your house, there ain't a chance you can do that. And you don't have 20-foot vaulted ceilings like this apartment.
No, I
So
do not.
I was like, there was a version of me that's like, it'd be so funny if she breaks like 10 lights and she's hiding in a corner and she forgot like the one that's in the dead center of the ceiling way up above her head. And she's just like, welcome to darkness. You can't find me. And she's like rolling around the floor like an Austin Powers scene. You're like, yeah, that's it. It's a fun thing to write in a script that makes no sense to my brain. How
Yeah.
long has Lisa been hanging in that fucking closet as Audrey Hepburn gets her scarf around her? You know, dead bodies shit themselves, right? That plastic
Yeah.
bag is full of fecal, and I'm pretty sure she would smell it. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter because the game, they build a facade that is really interesting, then make it weird, and Audrey Hepburn says, fuck that game. Let's kill these dudes. And you go, yes. I
Locked in.
disrespect them so much for what they're doing to this woman. I love this fucking power move. And the ending is a really fun series of kind of cinematic choices to me. The match scene, right? Her running at him, throwing gas is just like fucking right.
Awesome.
But the lighting the match scene, it's very reminiscent of the Flash and Rear Window, right? Him holding open the fridge door with the thing as he sees her by the stairs. There is just great moments. When he hooks her by the neck and pulls her down, you're like, oh my fuck. Like that's a moment where that's one of those moments I'm telling you. That's what you have to figure out. We know Audrey Hepburn's going to win, but we have to feel deep in our butts. Our butts have to pucker like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
You in that moment feel real, true danger for her, right?
I truly, again, like the power this movie has is that, yes, we know Audrey Hepburn is going to win. Who the fuck would kill Audrey Hepburn in a movie? And then you're still feeling like, oh my God, this might be it for her. Like, holy shit. Like, again, that is like true suspense.
Yes. And Alan Arkin is so fucking sinister. I mean, Alan Arkin's great. To me, he was always the grandpa from Little Miss Sunshine. I saw that movie at the right age and he just fucking, this might be his best movie that I've seen. This movie is, he is fucking,
he's pretty flawless.
It's and pretty weird. Amazing. And it's a unique kind of performance that you're like, you can't just plug and play anyone into that. He's really bringing something bizarre to, and at the end, it's so scary. And even his like calm when he has the doll, he's getting his little drugs out. And he's just like, bedroom.
Yeah.
And you just, again, it's one of those, like she's got a knife. She's got the knife. We know what's going to happen. Yeah. It's fucking brutal to watch. And that's what the best movies sort that out. You still have to make us feel it deep down in the muscles of our sphincter. Yeah. How fucking horrifying this could go if it weren't a movie.
I mean, I think that
this finale is fucking the tits, dude. This is the tits. And they have a literal jump scare. I don't think I've ever seen the jump scare be an actual jump before.
Yeah.
I was like, that's very nice. That's the one that's in the 100 scariest whatevers in Shudder. It's just, I don't know, man. The end of this movie is just such how many movies do you watch where you're just like, they so pay off everything I want in the movie in that last like climactic scene as well as this one? Not many.
I think that movies like this, like the last 20 minutes of this movie are just fucking phenomenal, dude. Like, it is unmatched how good it is. And like, again, the thread of tension is so taut throughout the end of this. And again, I can't, like, you put it so well. Like that is the great point, is like, who the fuck would kill Audrey Hepburn in a movie? Like, the benefit and the real charm of like the way this movie ends is you're like, she might die. And we all know she's not going to die, yet we still are like, holy shit, she might die. And that's like the power of her performance and Arkin's performance, and all the pieces that go into like the end of the movie are just so fascinating and so intense that you forget that it's Audrey Hepburn. We
didn't even talk about Carlino getting run over. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
It's fucking visceral, this movie.
Yeah, this one's got
like Carl, and again, Alan Arkin's so good, you never see his face, but I can see his performance in the car as he's running over Carly. It's great. It's fucking great, man. Good. Even Gloria getting sent out, right? You're like, they again, and that's the pacing and the getting in tight on stuff that makes this one a cinematic. It makes it a different experience than seeing this on the stage, right? There are tools that they use. They expand and again, it's so, there's a lot of stupidity in the movie when you look at it from a high level.
Yeah.
But we don't watch the Funhouse at a high level, right? We are in the Hall of Mirrors trying to find a way out.
Right.
That's what this movie is to me. And again, it pays off. It over kicks its coverage to me in the finale until her husband's like, "Come on, come on," like it's a puppy. Like she's trying to train a puppy to come to a tree. You fucking cock. Go hug your blind, murderous wife.
How about you be a good husband
I can't
and
get
go
over
hug
it.
your wife?
I'm not sitting here telling you that I am like a world class husband. I'm
No.
sure if Amy was on the pod, she'd have a laundry list of things I could do better. The one thing she would know if she had been blinded and then I left her all day to go film fucking naked topless Brazilian ladies and she had to fight off three murderers,
What I
that when
wouldn't do
I
is
came
come in
in
and
and
go,
saw her, yeah, I wouldn't say, "All right, time to train."
walk this way, please.
What is he? Marco. Mark, like, what are you doing? Go hug. I would hug my wife. I don't know. I thought this movie was. It reminded. I love thrillers of this era, right? Like I'm a real Hitchcock lover.
Mhm.
Which is, I love how I said that. Like it's like this is a cool thing. Everyone loves Hitchcock. You know what I like? Pizza.
Oh,
No,
oh, you like Hitchcock, huh?
yeah,
Look
everyone
at this
loves
guy.
Hitchcock and understands his technical prowess.
Look at this film buff over here.
All right, fucking shitty, loveless husband, calm yourself. No. But there's something about the way these were or paced and doled out that his
Yeah.
effect of the moment, you could see the effect on other neighboring movies, and this is one
Mhm.
of those. And I love this era and genre of thriller. There's something
Yeah.
about them that just really fucking the cinematic teeth really just sink into my heart, and I love. And this movie is fucking great. This will be one of the favorite movies I've seen for the first time this year. It was wonderful.
I'm
Wonderful.
glad. Yeah, Wait Until Dark is one of those that I think is just people talk about it. I think people it like shows up in lists and it's talked about a
I
lot.
don't
I
think
don't think
I'd ever
people.
even heard of it. I thought you had said Alone in the Dark, the weird
Oh
like
no,
Donald Pleasance fucking serial killer movie, which we do need to do. If you've never seen that, it is fucking bananas,
we do
and
need
I
to do
love it.
that.
Yeah. But
No,
it's just dude, this movie wasn't even on my radar before that Shutter thing. And it's
it's
so that is a miracle thing of doing a show like this too. We're 600-700 episodes in if you include our other shows we did, 800 pods together. Not
mhm.
a mention of this, right? The movie lineage is so deep and rich. We could probably do this show for the rest of our lives and just miss thousands of wonderful classics.
Right.
I love that. Brian said that on our midnight hour October episode. He calls it what is it? Film archaeology, right? That
Yeah,
like
yeah.
going back and digging into one thing and finding another and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's like I like the rabbit hole you can go down. I
Mm.
think this is why I like. I think this is probably why I like movies honestly the most. Is the rabbit hole that it takes you down. It's never this thing where you're like, oh god, I'm never gonna like. It's not that oh god, I'm never gonna get out of this. It's more just like, what else has this person done, or what else like Terrence Young's a great example. Like Terrence Young directs this. You're like, whoa, Terrence Young directed a lot of these Bond movies. Oh, that's really
Yeah.
interesting. Like, oh, he
I
also
think he did
directed like
my
the
favorite
Valentine.
movie, From Russia with Love, my favorite
Yeah,
Bond
like
movie.
there's all these again, like that sort of rabbit hole is so fascinating. And to me, that's where Wait Until Dark sort of lives, is when you get to like do that. It's the
Oh,
same
dude.
way.
Imagine finding this movie and being like, who's this Alan Arkin dude? What has he done? And just
Right.
I love that. Yeah.
That's great.
Brilliant.
Great
That's
movie.
it for Wait Until Dark. Wonderful pick. Wonderful movie. We have one more movie left. Martha, Marley, and me.
Martha Marcy May Marlene.
That's right. Another movie I haven't seen. So we're adding first timers. Guys, December, we stuff your stocking. So if you are part of the Patreon community at patreon.com/filmalchemistpod, you will get a chance to submit a movie that we may cover for the December stocking stuffers episodes, right? So our patrons will pick a movie. We will put them in a literal stocking, pull them out. That will set our lineup for December. So this is a great time to go join our Patreon community. Get a movie you want to hear us talk about in the running to fill the main feed. We would appreciate it. Again, we're on all the socials, including TikTok Email filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. Do all that stuff, guys. Reach out. Likes, hearts. If you see a TikTok or an Instagram reel or a YouTube short of us, send it to someone. You can watch these episodes on our YouTube, Film Alchemist. These are free, easy ways to help us out. We all kneel before engagement now. So those things do help a ton. I promise you, right? Those are free, easy things to help. Leaving 5-star ratings and reviews. Those are free, easy ways to help. That mean a lot. Go to misfitparade.net or .com. By the time you hear this, I don't know, but you will be able to find us and follow our movie making journey. Hell, Misfit Parade's on all the socials. Go find us over there. Might be really important in the future. I don't know why I said that. I'm just adding tension, right? Why do you just give a drug doll to a family that's not connected to it? Now you're gonna learn. Also check out my shit at Looper. Yeah. Why does anything happen? That's the theme of the week. Why do things happen? We'll never know.
Not these days.